What's up? I always love that intro, man. That groove that you put on that thing right there. See, this is us playing on the thing too. You know what I'm saying? This is not just a little performance track.
Well, you know, there's an interesting story about that I'm sure you remember it, but you had a different idea in mind
I
for that
did.
song. And you weren't quite sure what you had, but you kind of had a concept of what you kind of
Right.
wanted. We were kind of trying it out,
Right.
and it was cool. But I mean, that beat, I don't know, it just, man, that beat entered my head, my body, and I was
Yeah.
like, well, I said, what do you think about something like this? And you were
That was
like,
dope. I was like,
that's
that's
it.
it. Especially on that floor top. I was like, oh, that's making that junk float because the melody is already complex because I start off with a line that I want to build the bass line from and the chord, the harmony to move, right? So that was simple. But then I came up with the melody of it, right? And I was like,
Right.
okay. I was like, man, I have an idea of the groove and let you check it out, whatever, in the beginning stages. But that's why you got to hire the right cats and just allow them to interpret things too, because it came up with magic on that. It was really cool. But anyway, this is local musicians. What?
XP.
Yeah, so we're good to be here. Thank you, my brother Chris Burroughs. He's the originator of this concept, this idea, and I'm so happy to be on this journey with you, my brother. So
All right.
just tell the people a little bit about this, man.
Yeah, man. So we've had this idea for quite a long time, just through our own conversations, and just like, man, maybe we should talk about this and share, which is really
Right.
what we're trying to do, is just share our experiences, share our thoughts, and that just leads to one idea after another in terms of what we want to present. And there's so many stories that happen to, I guess, any artist through the years, and you're seeing that a lot also with people on YouTube, of famous musicians. Now a lot of them are doing their own podcast and telling their own stories, and it's really a great way to get some information. I think the pandemic sort of uh, spearheaded that sort of idea of people just talk. There was nothing else to do. Is
Right.
so people started talking and telling their stories, and it's a great way to share information, gain some knowledge of the people that you enjoy. And what we want to do is bring that to people on a from a local level, of just the things that we've experienced, and then have other musicians in their own cities uh, come on and comment and talk and interact with us, and because I'm sure you that there's a lot of the same experiences that they've had. So of
Yeah.
just trying to make a living in your local city, and and just trying to have a career.
And these are lived experiences. This things that we have gone through, and like you said, other people have probably gone through this, but it might not be documented. Some of it might be, or it might not be. But this is a way for the general public to understand what goes on in a musician's mind, and for the regular people to say, "Hey, this musicians to figure out, hey, they're telling my story. This is our narrative." And our
Mm-hmm.
experience part of it is valid because it's stuff that we've gone through, and that perhaps could help other people out. So,
Absolutely,
what's on the
absolutely.
docket for today, brother?
Well, let's first get some house cleaning out of the way. You guys
Okay.
can follow us on Instagram. All the icons below Instagram. The Spotify is still being uploaded. The audio is going to be uploaded, but we do have our brand on Spotify. YouTube is up and ready to go, and also our Facebook page is up and ready to go. And you can find us at all of those spots at Local Musicians XP. So that's if you want to follow us, please, especially on YouTube, it helps to like the video, and then subscribe to our channel there. So I don't know, man. So what's going on this week? Anything? I know you just got back from New Orleans
I did,
and
man.
played
Real
a
quick.
gig in New Orleans.
I did, man. It was cool to play with other musicians and go back to the, where I'm from and play. My brother's band, the band that he's in and sings in. We were right there playing. Oh, here's the one of the best things ever. This has never happened to me before. The perfect timing. This aspect has happened, but we were playing and there was like a storm came out of nowhere. And when we played the last lick of our last note of the entire gig, the power went out. Boom.
Oh,
So we were doing just a string of these second line tunes together, right? So we were ending with like "Do What You Want" or something like that. And so I went into a riff, do 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 da 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 boom. Oh, bro. We were like, man, and people thought it was like part of the thing. It was like, yeah, like the
oh,
lights went out and everything. We're like, wow, that's
hilarious,
never
man.
happened before.
Hilarious, man.
So it was really
Hilarious.
cool, man. It was really cool. And anytime you get a chance to perform with family too, that's always hip as well. So
Yes, yeah,
yeah, my
absolutely,
brother got
man.
so hype on the stage, bro. My brother's like 6'3", 200 and some odd pounds,
Right,
for
right.
shaking the stage, man. A little keyboard was going and I was like, bro,
So
you
was it
gotta get
just
less hype.
it was just you two, the two of
No,
you, or
no, it
had a
was like
band?
a full band,
Okay,
percussion, horn section, drums, guitar, bass, and
cool.
a female vocalist as well. It's
Okay,
called
cool.
a Lacoste band or something like that. And
Yeah,
so
cool.
I was
Okay.
taking the place of the guy who's actually the leader of the band who plays keys. So it
Oh,
was
okay,
pretty
cool.
cool. Yeah, yeah,
Cool,
it was
man.
good.
Cool, 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 cool,
Yeah,
man.
what about yourself, man? You had some interesting gigs
I
this
had a I
weekend?
had a light week. I had a couple little things. Of course, the Wednesday night with Mike Veal.
Right, of
That was
course.
a great night. We really took it out and stretched out on the last set of that, and kind of went into more
Oh, nice.
fusion mode of and then earlier in the week played the jam session with Joe Granston, which is always cool. Man, that place is packed. I
Yeah, I'll be
mean,
there tonight, whatever
we
night it's
will
going to
be
be.
there to
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
We're recording this on Monday. We'll be there tonight, but
Right.
that was packed and that was cool as usual. And then the weekend was pretty chill. So
Sometimes you need those, bro. Sometimes you need the chill
yeah,
weekends, man.
absolutely. And so I could work on some other stuff that I'm working on here with the media stuff,
Oh,
and
cool.
so it gave me an opportunity. And then church on Sunday was good, man.
I missed it, man.
Pastor,
Missed it.
yeah, Pastor Teddy is he's making a difference already,
Good,
and
good.
definitely is a great addition to the Riverdale family.
Hey,
So
and shout out to Jez Graham too for being competent to come in there where
absolutely.
you
Did
know
a
you
great job. Jess
if
did a
you
great job for
if you
you
can't
on
get a
keys.
right, yeah, if you can't get a good sub, then you'll never be able to take off. So you
Right.
have to get
Right.
somebody that's in
Right.
the wings that could really work. So I really
Yeah,
respect his
I'm
craft,
glad you
man.
brought that up, man. Because
Yeah,
Jez did a great job, and he's super busy. He plays at the Atlanta
yeah.
airport.
Oh man,
What 6, sometimes 7 nights a week.
yeah.
7 days a week. Sometimes I think he's there during the daytime, but and then works gigs in the evening. So he was coming off a late gig on Saturday, but he
Wow,
loves that gig so much and
he
has so
does.
much respect for you, man, that
He
he
does.
and
It's
myself as
mutual.
well.
It's
Yeah,
mutual.
so he always loves coming in. So cool, man. So anything else? Well, there is actually one other thing, bruh, that
Okay.
I wanna bring up. That's a little bit of an important thing to discuss, and that is my brother Tyrone Jackson finally got a new backpack, y'all. I mean, look, I've been on this cat for how long?
You say you was gonna buy as a birthday present, but
I
my birthday's in
know.
November. Couldn't
And the
wait,
thing
bro.
is, I had it all queued up too in Amazon. I picked you one out, bro.
Yeah.
Y'all should have seen this backpack, bro. It looked like uh, a sixth grader who, you know, how the kids just throw their back every day on the ground and people stepping. I mean, I was like, man, I can't have my man walking around the university, coming into the gigs and the
Wait.
churches, bro. I
Okay,
gotta get
bro.
it.
Wait, wait, wait,
I
wait.
can't
Let's
have him.
stop right. Let's stop.
Can't have him looking like
Everybody,
this.
everybody who knows you, bruh, it doesn't matter if I'm close to you, if I'm your boy. You gonna tell anybody, bruh. Hey, bro, those shoes don't match. How you left out the house with that, bruh? The point that made you my boy is that you got on Amazon, found a backpack, a good one, good price, had great features, got a USB
Yeah.
port on it. It was great, but that's the part that separates us because I'm your boy
I
that you
try.
recommend
Hey,
something really nice.
I'm looking
But
out, bro. I'm
the
looking
part that you
out.
looking out at other people, you do that all the time. Yo, bro, you shouldn't be wearing that dashiki, bro. You don't know nothing about African diaspora, bro.
That's
That's
not
what,
me.
bro.
I know you're not talking. That is not me, man. That is not.
You didn't
That
talk
is.
about the, you didn't talk about dashiki with somebody on
Oh
my
my.
gig.
Oh, I did. Oh, you're right. No, I forgot about that. I forgot about
Yeah.
that. But that was special circumstances that one day when we do the all joke episode, we will include that one because that is a good one.
And
But
did you not tell a certain minister that his shoes didn't match his robe and
I
stuff like
did.
that?
I did.
In church, you said that,
I
right?
said, bruh, come
Yeah.
on, bruh. Come on, bruh. Oh my gosh. So on my end, bruh, I installed a bidet.
OMG.
Now
You
we
got
don't
a
need to
little
go.
bougie there, bro. You got a little bougie on me there, bro. But you're trying to get cleaner, huh?
See,
A little
but the thing
hygiene.
is,
A little slip and slide there, huh, bro? I got you. I got you. Got you.
dude, this is what happens when you get addicted to Amazon because you start listening. I don't know how in the heck, but I was like, man, these things don't even cost them. Why are they not a part of every American toilet? You know what I'm saying? Go to
Right,
Europe,
right, right.
Japan,
It's there, yeah. That's true.
there it is. You know, and the Japan ones, the Japanese ones, dude, are
Right.
like,
Hey,
wow.
you thinking Atlanta, bro, with so fresh and so clean, clean. Should be a part of it, bro.
Dude, Andre missed his calling, dude. He
He
should have
can
done
still do
a
it. He can still do it, yeah.
man. You talk about a partnership,
That
man.
is a partnership with a bidet company. So fresh and so clean, clean.
Unbelievable. But man, it is worth. It's anyway, but not to go too deep into that. But y'all get you. It doesn't cost a lot. It's easy to install.
Very nice.
A 12-year-old could do it, and I highly recommend it. So anyway, all right.
Very nice. Very
On to
nice.
the show. On to the show. All right. So today we're going to talk about practice
Uh-huh.
versus rehearsing.
Yes.
Now, I didn't really look those two words up in the
I did.
Webster's dictionary,
Let
but
me
I
know when you
knew
finish.
I knew you would.
Yes.
So,
yes. All right. So you
because-
ready? Go ahead. No,
so,
go ahead. You go. Go ahead.
No. So, all right. So, let's first talk about practice. What
Yes.
is practice?
So practice, you got two derivatives. There's more than two, but two derivatives that apply to jazz musicians or musicians in general. So one is like to perform an activity or exercise or a skill repeatedly or regularly in order to improve or maintain one's proficiency, such as I need to practice my French. And there's another derivative that says the customary, habitual, or expected procedure or way of doing something, like a current nursing practice, right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
so before we get to rehearsal,
Yeah, just
that
stick with practice.
that activity or exercise that repeatedly done in order to improve or maintain one's proficiency,
Yes.
right?
Okay. I
And
like
so,
that.
what does that mean to you as a musician, Chris, when you say
Well,
you have to?
That means that I'm going to work on something that is not up to the level of where it should be.
But when you came on with this program, the first thing you said to me is like, "Hey, bro, I was just practicing my rudiments." So,
right.
what is a rudiment? A rudimentary situation?
Well, when you talk about, yeah, I mean, it's an exercise. It's a exercise for the hands that drummers do, and there's really uh what is, I guess there's 40 standard snare drum rudiments or exercises for your hand, and then there's a hundreds of variations, and cats have taken that to the Grand Canyon in terms of
Right.
coming up with just really cool variations of everything. But yeah, so that's something that uh I'm still you still work on, because it just never ever gets good enough, no matter how much you kind of work on that, right? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, yeah,
Is that okay?
and there's like for piano, the big one or the one that most people know of is the Hanon exercise, Hanon. There's churny exercises as well, but Hanon exercise is like the big one. Everybody knows that. And then with the Hanon exercise, really cool. It tells you what that exercise is working on, like if it's independence of the fourth finger or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes people don't read all information on it, and it says that you should go through all 12 keys with these Hanon exercises. Usually, you hear people just playing in the key of C. But those rudimentary things that you were talking about, the exercises that we do, is also muscular, right? And
Yeah, it's right. Yeah, right. Exactly.
especially a physical instrument like drums. I mean, you have to have endurance. You have to be able to play in time,
Right.
much more than everybody else. Like your rhythms and your beats are are heard more because of the lack of tonal pitch. So hearing those beats and keeping the band straight is of the utmost important. Well, you don't keep those muscles up, you're gonna drag, you're gonna rush, you're
Right.
gonna be sloppy, whatever. And
Right.
precision is where y'all live.
Right. And that's with, I mean, so what we're kind of talking, I guess, just to break it down to one term, would be muscle memory,
Yes.
is what those exercises are for. Now, you get creative off of those. I mean, you try to, at some point you make them music, right? You don't want them to just be um, a, an intellectual exercise where you're not really thinking. You're trying to actually execute and make music out of those things. So that's practice. Is those are things that you practice. So okay, now let's talk about, let's what's the definition of rehearsal?
Yes. Okay. Rehearsal actually contains the word practice in it. It says rehearsal is a practice or trial performance of a play or other work for later public performance, i.e., rehearsals for the opera season.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say it again, a practice or trial performance of a play or other work for later public performance.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So how does that relate to us musically?
Well, we have to look at both of them separately, right? So,
Right. So I'm strictly talking about rehearsal. So what?
oh,
So
rehearsal. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so
mm-hmm.
rehearsal is, first of all, if we're going by the definition, that means you have a performance coming up of something, right?
Right.
And if we don't get together and do a mock performance or prepare for that performance, then you're more apt to have breakdowns in the performance. So that's to
Mm-hmm.
get all the kinks out in a
Mm-hmm.
rehearsal so that you could be ready for the day of the performance.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So rehearsal is important because you have something coming up, something that you're working toward. And then you also have
Right.
pieces that you have to assemble together, i.e., a play. I do music for plays and work with plays and stuff all the time. And you have to have those parts come together where the actors got their lines and the stage and the lighting and all this kind of stuff. And unforeseen situations or problems may come up or things that you need to tighten up. You do that with the expectation of it's going to be better for the performance.
Now let's go back to practice, because something came to my mind about back when I was 12 years old, 13
Mm-hmm.
years old. I was that was in my first band ever.
Okay.
I guess I was about 13. Maybe it's a little later, maybe 14. But
Well,
anyway,
you got it early in the game, huh?
well, back then, dude, we had what's called garage bands.
Yes, yes.
Okay, and music in the schools was prevalent. Everybody played something or took some lessons or was at the local music store hanging out
Little
or
talent shows that would come up and stuff like that.
yeah,
Everybody's
talent
involved in something.
shows, but it was a community. So especially where I'm from, rock music was everything.
Hmm.
So if you had a rock band, man, you were, you were like
Hmm.
you were gold. You were super popular. So and everybody in the schools was trying to put together their band. So I had a little band, and but of course we don't have any gigs. But hey, it doesn't matter. We're like, we're going to get a band together, and what are we going to do? We're
Right,
going to practice.
right,
What does
right,
that mean? It means 9 times out of 10, or 10 times out of 10 back then, you were going to pick whatever popular songs was on the radio or whatever, or some songs that you heard. Another band, you might go down. There was a thing called Rec Night in Rockford, Illinois, that happened every Friday night, and cover bands would play this. It was at the Riverview Ice House for all my Rockford people, and they had ice skating and they had a band playing. Kids were just just a place for kids to hang out. Man, it was a great experience. But there was always a band playing, and as a young kid, of course, you are super judgmental on
right,
like what the band plays. Did they play the solo exactly right? Did the singer sound exactly like the band? Like all
right,
those little
right,
things, right? So it was a really great place to learn and develop. But that was your goal. Like if you could
right,
get a rec night, boy, it was
right,
like this huge thing. So my band, we were just practicing. We just working on something. We had no gigs, but then a talent show did come up
right,
at my high school. We had a talent show. So at first we were just practicing, which means you have no care in the world.
right,
All you're
right,
doing is you're just trying to get the songs and enjoying every minute of it too, man. Cats
right,
coming over. But then all of a sudden it was like, oh, we got a gig, man. We got a show we
right,
got to play. So
right,
then you're just rehearsing those two songs
right,
and trying to get those two songs refined and get the segue and how you're gonna do it and all that kind of stuff. So, but back in the day, man, it was all about practice, dude. When you go to the rehearsal, you go into RTM, any of the rehearsal spots in Atlanta or
yeah,
anywhere else, bands were just going at it, dude. They didn't have any
yes.
shows. They had no gigs.
But that's interesting. You made a point of calling a practice for your band, which is called a band practice.
That's correct.
Because you also have individual practice that you got to
Right.
do probably for the band practice. And then you
Right.
also said, well, when we had a gig, we had to rehearse it.
Right.
So we had to get it fine tuned. We had to tighten up everything. And you say you're working on those two songs,
Mm-hmm.
right? And with the
Mm-hmm.
effort of trying to perfect it, right? So there's a delineation between even practice, a group band practice, and individual practice. Because I'm sure when y'all had y'all practice, that you probably said, "Hey, we need to work on these songs, or we need to learn these songs." And
Right.
somewhere during that week, when y'all would set y'all next practice, you would work on whatever those songs are, so
Right.
you can have them ready.
Right.
So this concept of practice and rehearsal can kind of get blurred.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And sometimes what happens is you get, well, let's talk about a typical gig situation.
Okay.
All right. So you have a situation where somebody calls you for a gig.
Mm-hmm.
We're musicians for hire, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that means that first of all, we have to know a certain amount of repertoire for whatever. If it's a jazz gig or a rock gig or a funk gig or what, you have to have a certain amount of songs under your belt. So if a person calls you for the gig, that's it. But if it's an original set, that means you have to learn their music, or it could be a hybrid, or maybe they're doing songs that are not in the particular standards that everybody should know. And sometimes they may be harder songs.
Right.
Well, that involves the band leader giving you a set list of what songs they're going to do, usually a Dropbox folder with the files in it, whether it's sheet music and audio recordings, or a Google Drive or what have you to have access to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they set a date for what? Practice or rehearsal? You let me know. What happens next?
Well, okay. Now that's a lot to bite off right there.
Right. So you got a
So
set
let's
list, you got
right. So,
files.
so let's break that down a little bit.
Right.
Let's break
Yes.
that down. Now you mentioned something when I brought up the garage band about you're gonna practice the song yourself,
That's individual practice.
then individual practice, then you're going to get into your band, and then you're going to practice the song with the band. But
Right.
I mean, why would I want to if we're going to practice? Why would I practice it on my own? I mean,
Oh,
if you already know, hey, we're going to practice the song when we get there. Why do I practice the song before I get there?
well, you introduced a new term for us, ladies and gentlemen, which is called time. Time.
But as a kid, is that what you think? Is you thinking about?
Oh
Are you
no, no. You have to learn that time is valuable. You're a kid. Time. You got time to do anything you want to do. But when you get
so you're
older,
so right, right. But I'm just all
yeah.
I'm saying is that at that time you're doing it because why? Because you want
Oh,
to.
yeah. You want to. You love it. You enjoy it. You love the camaraderie. Whatever. You're gonna be a
Right.
part of something. You all are learning something. So you out of your mother's house. You into a garage. You can have snacks, drinks.
Well,
Whatever
we're in the
house you were
base.
at.
Yeah, you're in the basement of of whatever.
Yeah,
You're
but
you're.
was it at your house or your friend's house?
Oh, it was always at mine because I'm not moving my drums, bro.
Did your mom bring down
Bro.
snacks for the band?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I believe she did.
Exactly.
I
That's
believe
part of
she
it too,
did.
man. It's a
Okay,
hey,
so
you can, yeah,
so that's yeah. So we're gonna get
right,
to all that, but so let's just stick with the practice of it is just something that okay. I'm gonna work on this before I get into practice, and then when we get to the band, there was a little bit of like already kind of being prepared
right, right,
for the
right,
situation. Now this is just you. This is not a I don't even want. This is not something that you're consciously thinking about. This is just something that you're doing because you love it, right?
right, right.
So fast forward that to you know uh 15 plus years or whatever. So now
Yes,
you're 25, 26, 27, whatever that is, right?
right,
And you're rehearsing you're practicing with your band at
right.
a rehearsal studio. You have no gigs, right?
Okay,
Why are you doing that? What's the point of you doing that?
okay. So I think about that because you can practice like that. If we think about as you're older, sometimes the point is to see if you can get a certain vibe or sound with the people that you have. So let's say I met you on a gig, you met another person on a gig, and we're trying to figure out how these pieces gonna fit together. So if you said like, "Hey, man, I think this person would be great on saxophone, or this person would be great on vocals. We need to check them out, or we have this concept, right?" So in the process, you are trying to see if these pieces are going to work, if they're going to stick together. That's when I would have a practice. I'd go to and maybe go over repertoire to see if it's going to work, see what sticks, or if I'm coming up with an original concept, I'm going to try to record that practice to see what elements work together. You know?
Okay, so we want to see what sticks when you're practicing.
Right. See how these parts fit together.
So now let's talk a little bit about rehearsing.
Right.
So rehearsal now is about you're preparing for a show,
Yes.
which means you have a deadline,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So in my little band, all of a sudden we had the little talent show. It's like, oh, okay, man, okay. So now the whole mental process is a little bit different
Right.
because we're really like now it's like, oh man, you're thinking, damn, we can play in front of people, man. Wow, okay,
Right.
uh, man, this has got to be good. you know. So again, fast forward. So now you're in a band, and you know, you're making some money as a, you know, and you're in a situation where you're rehearsing with the group and you have a concert coming up.
Right.
So the everything shifts to now we're working on what? A set list.
Yes.
What songs do we are we going to play? How are we going to open the show? Uh, how are we going to segue from one song to another?
Mhm.
Um, you know, what features are going to be in the show? And depending on what style of music you're playing in, you know, uh, this is all going to kind of vary in terms of how the show is going to be structured. If you're playing in more of a jazz type situation, you have solos strictly, they're going to be built into every form basically that you
Right.
play.
Right.
You know, in a rock setting, you basically have the guitar solo or whatever, you but it's mostly about the song, you know, there's not a lot of soloing kind of going
Right.
on.
Right.
So but in improvisational music, which is what we play most of the time, even if there is a vocalist, there's still a lot of improvisation going on.
Hmm.
So now we have to structure that show. And so now we're rehearsing where, okay, here comes the whoever the leader is. Here comes the drop box of tunes.
Hmm.
Hopefully,
Keys, charts.
keys, charts,
Hmm.
anything that can be of
Order, chronological order,
set list.
set list.
That would be nice sometimes.
Right.
So, but you're getting things now where it's like, okay, we're gonna try to structure everything for this for the rehearsal. So, in your
Wait, wait.
opinion, oh,
You
go
just
ahead.
said something. Structure everything for the rehearsal,
Right,
right?
right.
That means there's some time in between you get the set list or you get those materials. There's time in between that and the rehearsal date.
Okay.
So what happens in between that time? Because I can't set up a rehearsal after I send out the materials on a Monday and have a rehearsal on a Tuesday, right?
Well, in your okay, so in your opinion, what is a respectable amount of time to send out information for the show before the show?
Well, I would say um, maybe the least amount of time that you should be cognizant of is maybe a week. Give them a week, but 2 weeks would be acceptable. I think two
Two
weeks would be
weeks.
norm. Yeah,
Okay.
but one
Two
week,
weeks.
one week is the least amount of time for me because I might have other gigs, I might have other things. My schedule might be packed, right? But at least 1 week, and that's if I like you. You know what I'm saying? Because I got a lot of stuff going
What
on.
is
I gotta map it out, bro. I'm sorry. I got tons of things going on, man. I
so
gotta.
I only get stuff if you like me?
Well, if I
Is that
mean,
what
you, bro, if you gave, well, first of all, if you chose something, I know I'm going to use the bimbe rhythms or something, and
Oh,
you know
come
all
on
this kind of
now.
stuff. So I'm gonna need more than 2 weeks for that, bro. I ain't gonna be able to do it on 48 hours. And I know you're a meticulous cat. You be like, bro, Prince did this, and then you didn't check
No.
this,
What
bro. So I gotta be ready for the vitriol that's gonna come from you if I don't know the songs.
man,
You know what I'm
I
saying?
am the easiest band leader ever to work with,
Are you?
boy.
Are you, bro? Are
I
you?
anyway, we'll come back to that. All right. So
Remember a Herbie Hancock show?
that wasn't
Boom.
my fault. That
Hey,
was Herbie's
bro.
fault for making that music. Whose fault was that? That ain't my fault. I ain't got nothing to do with that. That's
But
Herbie.
what's your estimation of how long it should take? How much time should
Well,
you
let's.
have
No,
before?
no, no, no. So
Okay,
I'm
that's what I
sticking
mean.
with you first. All
Okay,
right, I'm
yeah,
sticking
go
with
ahead,
you.
go
All right,
ahead, go
all right.
ahead. Give me
So
the next
okay,
question.
so you said a week is and I agree with that. The shortest amount of time,
Shortest amount of time, yeah.
but
So
2 weeks
2 weeks is
as
probably
a matter of
general. Yeah.
fact. Carla Harris, our great friend and vocalist Carla Harris, I just got her music for the show that's coming up on the.
Right. She
Is it the
probably would have sent it earlier, but I held it up because I have some charts to do before. So she probably was sitting out
You're
earlier
right.
than that.
You're right. She's usually super early with stuff.
Right,
So,
right,
you know,
right.
depending on the how challenging the music is. That's another
That's
thing.
another factor. Yes.
Is how challenging is the music? If it's, you know, if we're going to pretty much groove all night long and there's
Hmm.
not a lot of rhythm stuff and harmony stuff, man, I'm not sweating cats over,
Right, right,
you know
right.
what I mean? It's like, I mean, we'll kind of come back because I think there's a, you know, there's cooler ways to get your point across of trying to get stuff together, but it's just trying to get, you know, it depends on what the material is, the difficulty of the music, and then also who you have in the band, right?
Right,
Because
right. Almost
you might not
factor.
have your A-list cats in the
No,
band. So then
no.
you have to make adjustments because of that.
Yes, yes.
Because some cats, to me, a great band leader is going to play to the group's strengths, not I'm going to do what I do
Right.
necessarily. It's like, okay, I got this. Maybe this particular drummer is not as good at something that the other cat that you normally use
Mixed
is.
meters. Right.
Maybe the keyboard, you know, maybe this the bass player or whatever isn't as, you know, he's got a different set of tools he's working with,
Yeah, maybe
man.
he's a groove oriented player. That's it, and not taking solos on everything and stuff.
It's just like any great, you know, we
Mhm.
tend to use sports analogies around here a little bit, and because I think it's always like very applicable to what we're talking about. Is if
Yeah.
you've got a player that, you know, this guy hasn't had the practice time, and you got a quarterback just got hurt, you got to put the second third string cat in, you can't call the same thing that you would with the first guy, so you have to alter your game plan. And music is the same, it's the same way. It's, if okay, cats are busy, if you're good, these guys are going to be busy, so you might not be able to get who you would normally use. So it's like, okay, I know this cat can do the job, but maybe I have to alter my set a little bit to, because you, the end of the day, it's about, you want the music to be as great as it can be.
Well,
It's not
well,
about, I'm sorry, go ahead.
let's say you have your A team though. Let's say you have
Okay.
your A team, and you send out the list. What is your expectations at rehearsal?
Well, have we played the stuff before? That's the first question that I would ask. If we haven't played
Okay,
the,
let's say
if
we have
we,
a mixture. Let's say 50-50. 50
okay,
percent of the songs we played before,
right.
50% are new songs. And let's say that the band leader was very cognizant of the time and how difficult some parts of it is. What are your expectations for rehearsal within a week of receiving the music?
So as a sideman or as a leader?
As a side man.
As
Well,
a
let's
side.
no, 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 let's go as a leader. And then we'll go as let's go as a leader. What is your expectations?
Well, my expectations is I'm calling guys because I don't have to think about them. I know, and if I have my guys, I'm not really worried about anything because I'm gonna call one rehearsal.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm going to make it as chill as possible. I'm gonna have some food there. I'm gonna have, you know, I'm gonna try to make it a hang
Right.
more than just we're gonna show up for 4 hours or whatever and just go through, which happens a lot, and just go through these songs. I'm gonna try to make it where we're actually having some kind of fellowship, I guess
But how
is a
long
word that
should
can.
this rehearsal last? What's the goal of this rehearsal? Like, you gonna practice every solo in there or something? Are you
Okay,
gonna
no. What I'm gonna try to do is I'm gonna say, okay, guys, what's the trickiest stuff that
right?
we need to? We're gonna hit the trickiest stuff first, okay? And really, we're gonna segment that out. I'm not trying to go through the whole song unless we end up just doing it. But it's more about, let's get the tricky stuff, get this section. Okay, this cat's, you know, having problems with whatever, counting this out, or uh, you know, whatever. So we work on that, and then we'll try to put it in the form.
Hmm.
Just try to go through it, but I'm not going to overkill it,
Right.
because hopefully there's still a few days before the show. I work best personally, just even as a side, if I can do a rehearsal with, especially somebody I haven't worked with before. I do a rehearsal, but then I still have some days after that to do my own sort of like, okay, now I kind of see what they're looking for. Now I kind of understand how the stuff is going to flow. So now I can just sort of address the little things that are giving me issues, and then a sound check, we'll hit a couple things, and then we'll play.
Wait,
So
wait. You can do those issues in practice. So you
that's
saying in
that's correct.
between that and rehearsal, or
Hmm.
in between the rehearsal and the performance, you're gonna do something called practice.
That's what they call it. It starts with a P. I
So
don't. I
you're gonna
mean,
practice in between rehearsal, not the game, but practice.
hmm.
Not the game like AI.
Hmm. Hmm.
So you put another aspect in there. You say in between the rehearsal and performance, you added a practice in for you
if I
to do
if I need it, if there's
if you
certain
need right.
things that I know, like there's some kind of transition, or if there's some type of, if there's some reading things that I have to really address, or kind of like really take a second look at. Uh, those are things that I'm going to do before I get to the show. That's,
Right.
you know how, what I would and that's with, if I'm calling, if I'm calling the cats that I want to call for my thing, I would expect that they do the same thing, because that's why I'm calling them in the
Right.
first place. I know they're going to do that, you know. Um, so rehearsal is important, but you still have to do some self reflection,
Yeah.
I would think, in order to put your best performance forward.
All right. I'm about to hit the nitty gritty on this, bro. I'm about to get. I'm sorry. I got to do this.
Okay.
Atlanta musicians are known for being great musicians, like incredible skilled musicians. When I first got here, that's what I heard. Great musicians that don't like to practice. They don't want to learn new songs. That's what I heard. And to a certain degree, there's a pocket of musicians who are incredible, but come to rehearsal not having practiced the material, which now makes the rehearsal longer than it should be. Now, me, I'm a preparation cat. I should be memorizing songs, but sometimes I write charts out to help me remember where I am. Back in the day, I used to freely give up those charts. I would say, hey, this is my little dummy charts I write to help me keep the form of the song, let me know what's going on. But I was on a particular rehearsal one time, and we only had 2 days to practice or be prepared for the rehearsal. So I stayed up till like 6 o'clock in the morning working on these songs, writing out my little charts. Get to the rehearsal, I say to a person in the band, I say, hey man, how long did it take you to learn these songs? You know what they told me?
What?
This thing cured me right here. This answer cured me and helped me. This person said to me, oh, I watched sports last night because I knew that you would have charts.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
I said, come again? You knew I was going to have charts. Like, yeah, you're always prepared for the gig. I'm
I'm
like, for the
about to.
rehearsal.
I'm about to become that famous Homer Simpson meme where he fades into the
The
bushes.
brushes, yeah, the brushes, pushes like that. I was like, I said to myself, I'm the dummy because I'm preparing and I'm sacrificing, and they're getting paid the same amount of money as I'm getting paid. So how is it that I sacrificed my time for practice to be ready for rehearsal and they didn't? And so that's a clear delineation between practice and rehearsal. And it's bothersome to me when cats come to rehearsal learning songs. Now, I don't have a problem with you coming to a song and we're having mistakes that we have to figure out. Hey, what chord did you get right here? Because this is what I got. And then I was like, well, this is what I got. We compare notes. Hey, Chris, what's this rhythm right here, man? I had a problem right here. But even that could be solved with a phone call before we get to rehearsal. As we're practicing, I could be calling you during the week and say, Chris, man, measure 34 of this song or minute 2:38. What do you have going on right here? Have you been practicing? And you can tell me, hey man, I haven't checked this out yet, but as soon as I check it out, I'll let you know. Or this is the way I see it. Then at rehearsal, I could be ready for it. Or I could even say, Chris, man, do you mind getting together so we can go over this before we get to rehearsal? I'll bring you something at the crib. I know you got drums over there. I know you got this, whatever, but I'll bring you something to drink. Can we go over it? You may even say to me, hey man, that'll be helpful for me. Let's go over the songs, whatever. Even if somebody else wrote a chart, it's like, hey man, here's a chart that might help you or something. You know what I'm saying? For
Right.
practice to be prepared for rehearsal. But oftentimes we get the rehearsal and the cat's coming in not knowing something, not knowing the tune.
Well, this is really. I hope people are respecting this tidbit right here because there's a lot of stuff that people don't talk about, and
Right.
this is what we. These are issues that we want to discuss in an open forum and just sort of bring some light on because it's always sort of this hidden thing. We talk amongst each others, but it never really kind of goes any further than that. And I can tell you I mean, this man has MD'd a lot more gigs than I have. Okay. And so as an MD, you're, yes, you have there are certain duties that you would have just naturally as an MD. But what's great about this cat is even if he's not the MD, it's almost like he still takes the same mindset to the gig where he's going to be overly prepared. He's going to do his own homework. He's not waiting on somebody else to tell him what he needs to do and what he doesn't do. It's all about, okay, if there's a vocalist, you're sort of you're asked, okay, what do you need here? What do you, of course. But in terms of having the basics down to play the music, he already got that. That's what we're trying to talk about here. So anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead, man. I just wanted to
No,
bring that.
thank you for that too, bro.
Yes,
Appreciate
yes,
that.
yes.
And yeah, that brings up an interesting point too, because if it doesn't respect the band leader, because the band leader has been answering emails, taking phone calls, trying to think about how the flow of the thing is going to go together. They've been living with these songs, thinking about how this would be perfect, a transition to this. And then when you don't learn the song, then the band leader has to say, oh, shoot, well, my segue is not going to work because now we can't do that song. We can't do this riff. We can't do that. It's not respecting the band leader at all,
And what
and you
about?
can
Yeah, I'm sorry.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Nope,
No, go
nope,
ahead. Go ahead.
nope. But go ahead because
I
this
mean,
one
it's
this is gonna
respect.
it's gonna send us on a whole nother tangent. But go ahead.
I want to know what it is, but anyway,
I'll bring it up.
you bring it
I'll
up.
bring it up. I'll bring it up in a minute. But go ahead. Just
It's the respect for the and you don't think that will put a feather in your cap to the band leader that you prepared, and that means that's going to lead to more employment and more recommendations. You don't think you think if somebody said, "Hey man, I need a drummer for a gig. It's a very good paying gig," and blah blah blah. You think I'm going to mention you because you feel like you can turn it on at any time? I don't know when you can turn it on if you're not going to do it for my show. Like, hey man, are you gonna be doing just standards, bro? Because this cat will be great for this for standards. But if you got any specialized music, bro, I don't know if the cat is gonna learn it or not. If I'm honest, right? So I mean, part of the reason why I get called a lot is not because of my handsome looks, and stuff like that. It's because of my preparation. But Chris, I'm done with it, man. I'm getting to the point where I'm like, I'm not helping out anymore
right,
unless
right.
you're going to pay me to do it. And I hate to sound like that. I hate to
No,
do that,
why I hate to sound like that.
but
That's
I've been
what
doing
that's
it too
what
long.
that's what should happen.
If
and
somebody say
especially
Tyrone is going to do it, he's going to fix it. Go ahead, Tyrone. You know what the part is. Well,
right.
bruh.
But that's because you're a generous guy,
Yeah,
and
not
you're
that.
you know you're a generous guy. You have a great spirit. So people, hey man, I don't want to say people take kindness for weakness
There
sometimes,
you
but
go,
they
bruh.
do.
Good. They do. You're right.
And especially man, and I mean I hate to say it, but amongst us, bro, it's like it's
You're right.
always this. I mean, there's just so many issues, but uh, that's great, man, and those are valuable things that need to be heard. I've had, look, I haven't been perfect all the time. I've gone through, because a lot of times, you there might be certain things that come up in your life as an adult.
Right.
If you have a family, if you got bills to pay, that yeah, you're not always going to be necessarily the perfect individual. I've gotten into bad. I was in a bad place where I wasn't, if I was doing gig and I wasn't really checking out the stuff.
Right.
I
Right.
did that on one of your gigs. I was in a bad. I mean, I'm just being
Right. Right.
transparent and being
Right.
honest. Like, okay,
Right.
we all have our moments, of not being, it doesn't mean but that's just, it happens, right? But you can
It
correct
is.
it. You can
Yeah.
correct it. I can remember doing that on somebody, of not really, well, playing the music before and kind of expecting my memory to kind of carry me through that.
Right.
But I hadn't heard that person's music in probably a couple,
Right.
years.
Right.
So I
Right.
didn't really listen to it like I should have and check it out and got to the rehearsal. And all of a sudden it's like, I'm not in the flow of what's happening. So I guess doing your due diligence of, first of all, putting, what would you expect someone else to do if you were the leader? That's sort of the mindset that will save you a whole lot of problems,
Right.
right?
Right.
Is, just like you said, this person's sending out emails. Now you got to, as a musician, you got to promote your gig. You got to go, you got to do everything. You don't have any
Right.
help at all.
Right.
So the least, as sidemen, at least you could do is act like you prepared for the and take that burden off of that person. So where once we get into the rehearsal, we're actually rehearsing the stuff and not practicing the
Thank you.
stuff. So, you know, I don't know.
And then we can have fun. We can eat your famous burritos that you have and drinks and talk about things because rehearsal is over with. You know what I'm saying? But I can't eat with you if you haven't prepared, bro. I mean, I can't. You'd have to go, bro. The bass
It
player didn't
does.
learn the stuff, bro. I'd be negative Nancy, bro. I'd
And
be looking at the
now,
dude.
man, I recently was in on a gig where that this cat had never played the stuff before. The other
Right.
cats, we've all played the stuff. Not complicated stuff at all. You
Right.
know, um, and a lot of room for, man, we're gonna kind of sculpt as we go. We're gonna kind of improvise, right?
Right.
Uh, and again, you're in situations where cats don't have a lot of time sometimes. If guys are, you're
Right.
involved in a lot of other stuff, so maybe you don't have time to rehearse.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to trust,
Yes.
I'm going to throw this stuff out there and everybody's going to be ready once we
Right.
get to the gig. And this was one of those kinds of situations, right?
Yeah.
I could tell that this cat didn't even take a look at the stuff. He gonna try
Right.
it now just because, and also just because you have a chart doesn't mean you can play the song.
Oh my
If
goodness.
you have no idea what the vibe is. You have no
Right.
idea what the groove is. You're just looking at a piece of paper with chord changes, or it tells you what's coming up bar after bar. So you
Right.
don't you can't rely on that, especially
No.
with stuff that's, music. There's certain music you can't really write it down. I mean, you can write it down because
No.
there's voicings and there's things going on that tell you what key you're in or what chord change. But the way the stuff is moving is you kind of have to hear it, man, and you have
It's
to hear
called
it.
an aid. It's an aid. It's to help you. That's it. It's not
But
the end all there be all, you
right,
know?
but I could tell that he was like, oh, there's charts, okay, and got complete turned the beat, got completely caught out of pocket,
Hmm.
and it was just like, man, there's 5 6 songs that you had to check out and you didn't do it. Like that tells me I can never call you for anything again.
I was on a gig. Here's two examples. I was on a gig and going to North Carolina out of town, and the bass player that was supposed to be on the gig had an emergency, got sick, had a reaction or something, whatever. And the leader of the band called me up and said, I got to find a bass player for this gig." And I said, "Well, there's this guy in North Carolina who's really good." I told him, "Hey, here's a gig. Can you do it?" He said, "Yeah, he could do it." I said, "Right, here's the other thing: it's the artist's original songs." Well, I
Right,
already knew that the cat was going to learn, right?
right, right,
And the recommendation looks good when I do it. So my name was on the chopping block too, because the first thing I'm going to say is, "Man, Tyrone recommended this cat," or "Man, Tyrone recommended this cat. Man, it was really good." So
yeah,
it makes me look good, right?
right, right,
So true to form, man. We get to the gig. We only had a sound check, whatever. This cat knew all the songs better than I did. Not a lick of sheet music up there. Knew it was prepared within 24 hours. Knew all the songs, memorized. And that cat got mad because the second day got canceled because of inclement weather. He's like, "Man, I really learned this. I wanted to play." And my dad, rest in peace. My dad was like, "Man, do we get paid the same if we did this gig or not?" I said, "We still get paid." He said, "Bye." I started wrapping up my wires and stuff. I was like, "Man, my dad." Here's the second one.
Shout out to your dad, bro.
Shout out
Miss
to
that
dad,
cat.
man.
Miss that cat, dude.
Man, I had a gig in town around Memorial Day weekend. They sent out the music ahead of time, a couple of days in advance, whatever. And this is a major artist. We go to the sound check, the artist is not there. So we as a band go and just go over the songs. We only had a minute of, I mean, like 15 minutes to go over for the sound check.
Right.
He was like, "Do we need to touch this song?" "No, I think this is straightforward, blah, blah, blah. Is there a part in there?" "No, that's cool." Let's go to the hardest song. We get to the hardest song. And I say to the drummer, "Hey, man, how are you thinking about this section right here?" He's like, "Well, I'm thinking about this as like a uh, uh, call and response kind of thing, echo, right?" I was like, "Okay, cool. Can we go over that a couple of times because I don't see it like that, but I need to, right?" We went over a couple of times, took us like
Mm.
4 or 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Went to how we doing with the last song. Yeah, okay, boom. So getting close time for the performance, then we see the artist walk in. A little bit nervous, but because I knew I prepared, I said to myself, I had a conversation with myself, "T, you could do this. Just be aware of those moments. Look alive when there's the chorus and the verse, and make eye contact with the rest of the band. Let's communicate without verbal communication. Let's kind of communicate with our eyes." And I looked at the bass player like, "Hey, man, if I need help in this area, or the drummer, help me out, give me something, to go off." Artist comes in, first song, boom. There was no conversation about solo orders or even having a solo, but that person looked at me and just extended their hand out, like, "Go ahead, take a solo." Did. The people in the audience went crazy because they thought that we had rehearsed and practiced this stuff and stuff like that. When we did not have a rehearsal,
Right.
we did not have a group practice except for that 15 minutes, but we had our own time of preparation that we had to all put in. We all trusted each other because of that.
Right.
And if you're going to battle with a group like that, with a national artist, they're going to lump everybody together. They're not going to say, "Well, the keyboard player was good," but they're going to look at the whole band. It's like, "Man, they didn't learn my stuff," or whatever, right? So we all represent each other in that moment, and they have a certain amount of pride to say this national artist came in and heard what us Atlanta musicians are capable of, that we are able to play at a high level, on a high level, and knew this person's music. And that's a source of pride to say, "Okay, I can do that." And I went to war with my brothers and sisters in battle that we went and accomplished something together, you
Right.
know? And
Right.
that's the difference between like you said, will I necessarily have to have a rehearsal if I trust the people that there's going to come to be, and be prepared?
That's, I keep coming up with these sports analogies, but that's what guys talk about is, can I trust the guy next to me
Right,
to do what he's supposed to do?
right.
Because if I can't trust that it's going to affect me,
It
because
is.
now I have to do his job as well as to do mine.
Right,
You know, it's the same thing about, if you're in a band, I have to be able to trust, or they have to be able to trust me, especially as the drummer.
you love to rehearse with the purpose of sounding good. We know that you volunteer your place. Now I'm learning it's in part because you got the drums and stuff like that. But I got,
Dang, I
but
just gave it up, bruh.
I do have drums at my house. But you always
Yeah,
like, but
right.
you're good at no, because the, and I will say this about you too. Not a love fest for you because that's the last thing I want to do. But I gotta tell I gotta tell the truth, man. You are great about bringing young people under and say, "Come over to the crib. Hey, man, let's go over some stuff. Let me help you with some stuff, whatever." You're really great at that. But when, especially if there's a concept involved, you're like, "Hey, man, we need to come and rehearse that. We need to practice and get it tight." And look, listen to this recording. You're really great at, especially helping the younger musicians come along,
Thank you.
especially if they
Appreciate
want
that.
to be a part of it. Like if you see any measure of energy that they want to do, because I'll give you a good case in point. There was a jam session I used to run at a music store, right? And I said, "Hey, Chris," I said, "I got some youngsters that's coming out, and they need you there, bro." It wasn't paying a lot of money,
You
anything.
absolutely right. I remember
And I
that.
said, "Bro,"
I remember that.
it, I said they got the academic thing, which I'm a part of the academic system, but I
Right.
said
Right.
they need the other stuff. I said, "Bro,
Right.
I need you on this gig." I could have
Right.
called a drummer from the school or called another drummer, but I know it
Right.
wasn't going to benefit the other two guys in the band who needed it. And those two guys are with major people right now playing. And you know what they told me? They said, "Thank you for you and Chris being at that really helped our development."
Right.
And but that's something that you do all the time. I don't necessarily do that all the time, but you do it all the time. And so you really love to rehearse in the fact that we're pushing toward a goal together and you want to give everybody the opportunity to succeed, which is really cool. So yeah.
I appreciate that. I think. I mean, I think you do that as well. Especially in the field that you're in.
Right.
That's just it comes. That's just a part of the territory. But I think you do that as well, and I think it's just all about building some type of self discipline. That's all you're trying to really. You know, we hear this thing about motivation all the time. Man, I used to think I can't do nothing unless I'm motivated. Right?
Right.
Now we all have, again, nobody's perfect. Everybody has their down times of, or you get blocked, you get writer's block or practice block or whatever. It's never going to flow anytime. But I remember talking to this drummer, great, great, great drummer. And he's like, I asked him about that. I said, man, but when you don't feel like doing it, like, what do you do? He goes, I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't know what feel like, not feeling or feeling. He said, this is my job.
Right. Right.
He said, this is what I do. And I can figure out a way to do it if
Right.
every day or whatever. We were
Right.
talking about just practicing and stuff like that.
Right. Right.
And he was like, man, this is what I do. This is my
Right.
job. There's no excuses. There's no, oh, I don't feel it today, or I don't feel. Now, not everybody can be wired like that,
Right.
but you take that and you kind of use that in your to your advantage as best you can, right? Like, dang,
Right.
no wonder this cat's so is
But
so
that's what this
amazing,
is for. I mean, this is for what this podcast is for because, like, I haven't been. I had to learn this from the. I've been fired before for not being prepared.
So, thank.
I
Oh my gosh,
I've been fired. I have been haven't
you've been
learned. Sure, go ahead.
you've been fired. Have you
I
been
have been fired.
replaced? Have you been
Oh yeah.
replaced on a
Oh, I've been.
gig the night of the gig?
I don't know, but I was pretty close to it.
All
I've been.
those that
Yeah.
had this experience, raise your hand.
I'm gonna say yeah. It's probably I'm older now, so I don't remember it sometimes. But it had to happen.
I will tell you that story in a second, but go ahead. Let's finish your
So
point.
the thing is that I would like to say, had I seen a podcast like this when I was younger, I would realize that there were levels to preparation as well. And so this is not an old men trying to tell y'all what to do. We're just trying to save y'all from learning this the hard way, burning your hand in the process.
Just giving you some tools
Yeah.
to
And
from
there's older people that
experience.
needs to hear this too. There's a lot of older people who are great musicians who need to hear this
Man,
lesson
there's
as
a
well.
lot. There's a lot. There's a lot. And
But
failure will teach. Failure is
right,
the best teacher.
right.
Not not winning and achieve. You can't learn anything from that.
No, no.
You learn from failure.
I
You
failed
talk
a
to
lot of times on this, man.
any coach, any great leader. Failure is your best teacher.
Teacher. Right.
And just real quick, I'll share this story. Is I was on a gig, and this, I mean, the particular person that was the leader of the gig, he has a very specific way that he likes to play, and that
Right.
he expects other people to play as well. Uh, we were good friends. He was actually playing with me some at the time. So
Okay.
there was it was nothing but so we're playing. We're in sound check, and I can look back on this and I can see now exactly kind of how this transpired. But we were playing stuff. I had to be either. I mean, my estimation was that I was at the time I was rushing the beat a lot, which means that
Right.
I was playing ahead. The beat was ahead of where everybody else was because that's how I used to play. I mean, I
Right.
was very on top of the beat all the time, pushing, rushing, and had a hard time relaxing when I was
Mhm.
playing because I was still very nervous about a lot of things. So I wasn't confident. A lot of times, rushing is just not being confident in where your
Right.
time is. So, but anyway, going through the sound check, we kind of finished the sound check, or what I thought was finished the sound check. And this cat comes over to me and he says, "Hey man, listen, I appreciate you, whatever." He said, I said, "I'm gonna pay you for tonight." He said,
Oh,
"But I
wow.
gotta get somebody else to come and play this gig tonight." And at the time I was like, I wasn't really that hurt because I didn't I mean, I didn't really fit what was happening anyway.
Right.
But
Right.
your ego is like, damn, I'm
Dang.
getting replaced like
Right.
this.
Right.
Still great friends with this cat, and
Right.
have actually worked with him in the studio, arranged, produced, done stuff for
Right.
like. So we still have a great relationship. But again, had he allowed me to just go through the do it would have been a disservice
Right.
to the
Right.
music, to the other cats in the band, and to myself to not
Right.
hold me accountable for even though he didn't necessarily tell me at the time. And sometimes people can't. You're not going to tell you everything. You have to do some
No.
kind of self reflection
Right.
on why did this happen? Why did I get replaced? Why did they want somebody else to play? And you
Right.
can't take it you can't take it like, oh, it's on them, because that's what a lot of people do. It's like they
Right.
don't take responsibility for whatever it is, their own shortcomings or their own actions. They think they're
Right.
just the best thing since sliced bread. So they can never ever they'll never get to that point where you have to accept, especially if somebody's paying you, you have to accept what their point of view is. Now, you might
Right.
not like it, and you might
Right.
not work with that person. It might not be you might not be a fit
Right.
for that
Right.
particular, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But
No.
you have to have some sort of like self awareness in the
Right.
situation. And when I look back on that, I can guarantee you 99.9% that's what it was.
Right.
I was rushed, and the style of music that we were playing was not that kind of music.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know, so that's a little thing that I would just like to share, because if that's, I'm sure that's happened maybe to some other people, maybe not necessarily on the gig, but you got replaced somehow, some way doing something.
Right.
And
Right.
sometimes, every now and then you just do run into the wrong cat. I'm not saying that there's always, it's always viable,
Right.
but
Right.
when you're developing, I guess is what I'm
Right.
saying.
Right.
A lot of times it's a viable thing. So I've heard guys, man, on super high level playing with cats that are very well known, tell that same story about, man, I could not connect with this guy.
Right.
He, for and but it's happened to a lot of other people too. So it's not necessarily just that person. You
And
know.
on there's other people who rehearse too much. The name of that studio, rehearse too much. You
Oh.
like trust. You remember that? Trust your
How about,
musicians, man.
is that the greatest subliminal uh
Yes. Message
uh
of a
message,
business.
right? Like, come on, guys, rehearse too
Rehearse
much.
too
Like,
much. Right. Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
dude,
But yeah, there's times where you're like, okay, hey, your band has it. Why are we gonna have another rehearsal? What? Why? We're prepared.
overkill,
Yeah.
overkill.
And if you're not, but if you're gonna pay me the right amount of money to rehearse, then yeah, okay, I'll do it. Okay, hey, let's go there too. I thought we were about to
I
put a
just,
button on this
I,
thing.
I just clocked.
I was about to put a button on this thing, but you got to pay for rehearsal too sometimes. Bro. You got to factor that in. Pay for rehearsal. I'm done. That is
I
pay
just
for
clocked. I just clocked who you're probably talking about. But go ahead.
yes. Pay for your rehearsal, especially if it's going. You gonna have if the rehearsal's for you, right? If you don't feel good about you need some, record rehearsal and practice against. Have us record a little instrumental for you. I've done that before. Hey man, can you record this drum beat for me? I can practice to it. Record your band. Don't have us come out 3, 4, 5 times for a rehearsal. For a gig that we've been doing for 20 years. We're doing the same songs for 20 years. I'm
Well,
finished. I'm done. That's it. I'm done.
you're actually not, because I'm about to trigger you again.
Uh-oh,
But
here we go.
that is the insecurity of an individual.
Right.
Like you just said,
Yes.
the rehearsal is for them,
Right.
right? Now, I've been fortunate enough to be in a semi-new situation where, I mean, this stuff, it definitely needs like rehearse. You kind
Oh
of have
yeah.
to rehearse the
There's
stuff,
levels
right?
to it. Yeah, there's levels, definitely.
But one, I've also, been, hey, got the text message, hey Chris, would you mind you and I just getting together on such a day just to go over the grooves and the tempos, and I will pay you XXX. My man, absolutely. What day are you thinking about?
I've seen you price yourself out of rehearsals too.
Not the rehearsal, but the whole project. Nope. That's pandemic, either pandemic or friendship price, bro. I don't know you like that. Anyway, so
Oh
what
man.
that does is like, wow, this cat respects my time.
Right.
He's coming to my place,
Right.
and absolutely, let's do
Yeah.
it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Now, of course, if we've been playing together for 20 years,
Right.
or like you and I have been playing together for
Right.
20, 25 years, probably,
Right. Right.
that's a different story.
Right. Right.
Hey, man, you got time on such a day to kind of, yeah, man, what you thinking? You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's relationship stuff.
Right.
That's what that's all about.
And
Not
and I'll
everybody, but
even
I'm
I'll
sorry. Go
even
ahead.
put a time limit on it. I'll be like, hey, bro,
There's
just give
no
me
time
20, 30.
limit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But
well,
that I
there
would.
is. You say
My
that,
respect
but
for your time. Yeah, yeah. My respect
right.
for you. And you
But a
probably
lot of
said that, bro.
times,
No, bro. Let's just find a time where we can go over the
exactly.
junk. You
I
know.
mean, right? Absolutely. I mean, it's not even a thing. But that's again, those are relationship things. That's a little bit different story. But
Right. Right.
what about when you get when you get that, but there's no money involved? How does that make you feel as a side?
Well.
Like, so you
Yeah.
want me to do extra? Excuse me. You want me to do extra, and I mean, not that I'm whatever, but and you're not even offering to take care of me at all,
Right. Right.
because other situation just I know it, we just did a rehearsal and one of the other cats wasn't even there.
Right. Right.
And I mean, now it's different if okay, such and such not gonna be there. I'm gonna get with him
Right.
on his own, which again, that happens, man. Sometimes you have to do rehearsals in smaller groups. You might not be able to get the whole band together. So the leader has to go pick his. Okay, I'm gonna get together with the drummer and the bass player. Okay, I'm gonna get together with the keyboard player. Okay, I'm gonna get together with the. If that and that just sometimes that's how it works out, and that's cool. But the cat that wasn't even there, he gonna make the same money as I am,
Dude, I
and
had it.
you want me to do another. You want me to do something else too, and not think about, and then get to the gig, and come on, man, no. That's absolute garbage.
Hey, man, I had a situation where I had a rehearsal where one member couldn't make it, and they were a prominent member in the band, and I paid for a drummer to come in or a bass player. I can't remember what instrumentation was to come in and play in that person's spot. I've been there before where I've played in the spot for somebody else who was supposed to be
Right.
on a gig. I'm like,
I've done
okay,
that too. Right.
I'll,
You do
I'll,
the
I'll
rehearsal.
rehearse. Right, right.
Right.
And there's times where okay, you've been playing with somebody for 20 years, and you get a new person in the group. You got to have a rehearsal with everybody to come in. You know what I'm saying? Just so the
Mm,
new person can be integrated into the way the set is going and stuff like that.
right.
But you can't do that every time though.
No.
You gotta start recording rehearsals so you can send that out to the person that's coming in.
Right.
So they'll
Right.
know all the hits, all the like the thing that you said at the very beginning, that there's like some fine tuning things that you do or things that segues and stuff like that. Record rehearsal so you can do extend that to the person who's coming and filling in and say, hey, learn the show.
Right.
Then when you get to rehearsal, it should be bam, bam, bam if it's a competent person.
Right.
But yeah.
Right. I mean, okay, I'll throw out one more scenario for you. Corporate
Okay.
bands.
Okay. Oh.
I mean, which
Why are
is
you triggering me, bro?
well,
Why?
because that's a major part of a lot of the way cats make a living is, and thank God that there are
Yeah.
corporate bands, wedding bands, a lot of, you hear a lot of jokes about you playing a wedding band. You playing it, man, you know what,
No, that's
man?
hard work, man.
But you know what? I pay my bills, I feed my family. You know what I'm
Dude,
saying? Like
that is
like
hard work.
and there's look, I say this to everybody. I don't care what anybody says about what you do. Are you able to pay your bills? Are you able to have your own place? Are you able to support a family? Man,
Right.
nobody has any say as to how you're doing that or why you're doing that. People
And
can joke, you can say whatever they want, man. I don't care. Like even me, Yeah, of course. There's certain things I don't at this point in my career I don't want to do, and there's certain things I won't do. But if somebody else needs to do that, I've been there. Who am I to
That's
really
the point.
say what somebody's doing or what somebody's not
But
doing?
that's the big point, Chris. I think every musician, if I were to design my own program, I would feed the students that graduate from my program, or before you
You mean,
graduate.
I'm sorry, you mean when you design your own program, brother?
Oh, very good. Thank you. When I design
Yes.
my own program,
Yes.
that before you graduate, you would have to do a residency with a band for free. You're not getting paid because you are learning. This is part of
Internship.
right.
Internship.
And one of those things is a corporate band because here it is. It's high pace, high energy. You got to learn. You got to stay current on all the songs. You going from one song to the next song. It's not any breaks. You got to learn a show. You got to. It is very important for you to be a part of a corporate band at some point in your life to figure out how things are, because when you get an opportunity to be with a touring musician or touring artist, you got to have that under your belt because you can literally go crazy.
A lot of lessons, and there's a lot of lessons in those bands.
Yeah, and
I really
playing the song exactly like it is verbatim. Keyboard players knowing the exact sound, searching for sounds on the record. Guitar players learning what pedal the person used. Looking, searching YouTube for the combination of effects that cats
well
use.
they can do that, but what about when you had to do that by ear?
So yeah, that was a skill set back in the day that you learned. But
Mm-hmm.
those things are important. So when I design my own program, it's going to be that way because you are learning from cats. You don't need to get paid. That's another topic.
Right.
But everybody should go through the corporate band, the wedding band, to play those songs, to be ready. Do you know how, I don't think regular people know how nerve-wracking it is to be having to think ahead while you're playing a song. This next song is coming up. I got to prepare this. I got to put my sound up. I only got 4 clicks from the drummer before I go into this next song. And then we go into that and the dance portion. Like you cannot stop playing on a
Right.
dance set of a corporate band. You cannot
Right.
take a break.
Right. And then if they have choreography,
Oh my
I mean,
goodness, a
I
lot.
was in a band where man that jacked me up the first because I was watching the dancers and I'm trying to
Right,
play and they doing all these man that's a whole nother story. That was funny,
right,
but
right,
I look back on that, it was funny. But
right,
corporate bands, because a lot of times corporate bands, again, you don't really have time to rehearse. And
right,
guys, you're the new dude. These
right,
bands have been around for X amount of years.
right,
It's just about knowing the songs, right?
right,
The now some of the band, they rehearse once a week, or like some of the real big bands, like
right,
that do crazy numbers and are doing big shows. Yeah, they're getting together because they have new arrangements that they're bringing
right, right,
in
right, right.
of the material. But if you're playing the stuff verbatim, pretty much off of
Oh
a
yeah.
playlist or something like that, or you're just it's just about kind of knowing the songs, and the
Well,
more
once you know the
songs
show, it plays itself for 6 months until you
it kind of
integrate
plays
some new
itself,
song.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of plays itself. But I guess the this is sort of on topic, but a little bit off topic. Is what will miff me about a corporate band if I get called to a corporate is they send you a master list, bruh.
I know where you're going with this. Go ahead.
Like that master list is 300 songs.
Yes.
Here's our list. We'll pull from these.
Pull from these.
Okay, so what do you do in that situation?
Okay. This is what I do now. What I used to do is try to chew up that list. And I say, hey, bro, I'm going to show you what songs I know.
This
This
is
is
what you
my
used
list.
to do, or what you do. Or this
No,
is
this
what
is
you
what I do
used to do,
now.
or what you do
No, what I
now.
used to do,
Okay.
what I used to do, I try to cram it all in and see and hope. What I do now is like, hey man, let's go through the list. This is what I know. This is what I'll be at checkout by the time this going on. You can set your set list up according to that, bro. Now I know a lot of songs, bro, but look, oh, what's this? I don't know this song. What's this? Cuff It, Beyonce? Yeah, I didn't learn that. I know Anita Baker. You want to put that in there? Okay, you don't do that? All right, that's cool. What else you got? Play that funky music, white boy? Check. Got it all there. Brown Eyed Girl? Check. Got that. Yeah. What's this? A
Man,
song by
man.
Asia? Nah, Chief. I don't know that. I don't know that at all. What else you got?
But it was on the list.
It's on the list? Nah, Chief. It wasn't on my list. It was on your list. Wasn't on my list.
Dude, I got, oh my gosh. The
I'm
stuff
gonna
I could
try, bro.
say.
Which ones you think is the most important ones? I'm gonna try.
Well, what, I guess, and again, what's the correct way to handle that situation? I think, again, it depends on what level you're at.
Hey, bro.
Because,
I told the person the other day, bro. I'm not the right cat for this gig. I told him that.
that's my
I'm
new
not the right
phrase.
cat.
That's my new phrase. That's my new out, actually. Man, I
I'm wrapping up my wires. I appreciate you, bro. I'm not the right cat for this gig.